The Valorian Empire had watched the stars for 12,000 years. Their sensors covered 300 star systems. Their detection grids could find a small rock floating in deep space from millions of kilometers away. Nothing moved through their territory without them knowing about it. High Admiral Thelox had served the Empire for 60 years. He had seen wars, rebellions, and cosmic storms. He had never seen anything like what appeared on his screen that morning. He stood in the command center of the Imperial Station, a massive structure that floated above the throne world. Around him, dozens of officers worked at their stations. Everything was normal. Everything was calm. Then the alarms started screaming. "What is happening?" Thelox demanded. His 4 eyes scanned the main display screen. At first, he saw nothing unusual. Then a young officer pointed with a shaking hand. "There, High Admiral. 40,000 kilometers from the planet." Thelox looked. His blood turned cold. A ship sat in space where no ship should be. It was huge, dark, and covered in metal plates that looked like armor. Sharp edges stuck out from its body. Weapons pointed in every direction. The design was completely alien. It looked like something built for war, not for beauty. "How long has it been there?" Thelox asked quietly. The sensor officer checked his readings 3 times before answering. "We do not know, High Admiral. It simply appeared on our screens 4 minutes ago. We have no record of its approach. No energy trail. No jump signature. It is as if it came from nowhere. This was impossible." The Valorian detection grid was the best in the galaxy. Ships could not just appear next to the throne world. The technology to do such a thing did not exist. And yet, there it was. "Can you identify the species?" Thelox asked. "Working on it, High Admiral." The officer's hands moved quickly over his controls. "The ship design matches nothing in our database." "But wait. We are receiving a transmission. Audio only. Play it." The bridge fell silent. Static filled the air for a moment. Then a voice spoke. It was calm and clear, speaking perfect Imperial Standard. "This is Captain Park Yuna of the UES Indomitable. We represent the United Earth Systems. We come in peace and wish to speak with your leaders." Thelox felt his heart stop beating for a moment. Earth. The word echoed in his mind like a warning bell. He knew about Earth. Every high-ranking officer in the galaxy knew about Earth. It was a small blue planet in a distant sector, home to a young and violent species. The Galactic Council had been watching them for centuries. They had seen the humans fight endless wars among themselves. They had seen them split atoms and nearly destroy their own world. The Council had decided long ago that humans were too dangerous to contact. They had placed the entire sector under quarantine. No one was allowed to visit. No one was allowed to interfere. The humans were supposed to develop slowly, like all species did. The Council's scientists had calculated that they would not discover faster than light travel for at least 300 more years. Those scientists had been very, very wrong. "Get me the Emperor," Thelox said. Now, while his officers scrambled to make the connection, Thelox studied the human ship more closely. It was ugly by Valorian standards. Their ships curved like ocean creatures, smooth and elegant. This human vessel looked like a weapon given form. Every line, every angle, every piece of metal seemed designed for one purpose: destruction. And it had appeared at the heart of the Empire without warning. In the Imperial Palace below, Emperor Zelos III received the news with the same shock as everyone else. He was an old ruler, wise and careful. He had maintained peace in the Empire for over a century. He had never faced a crisis like this. "Show me," he commanded. His advisors projected the image of the human ship onto his throne room wall. Zelos studied it with all 4 of his eyes. He noticed the strange writing painted on its hull. He noticed the weapon ports, far more than any ship needed for defense. He noticed how it sat perfectly still, as if waiting. "What do we know about them?" he asked. His intelligence chief stepped forward. "Very little, Your Majesty. Our last survey of Earth was 200 years ago. At that time, they had just begun exploring their own star system. They were using primitive chemical rockets. Their fastest ships took years to reach their outer planets. And now they are here, at our doorstep. Yes, Your Majesty." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "How many ships do we have in this system?" 312 warships, Your Majesty, plus the orbital defense platforms. "And how many ships did the humans send?" "Just the one, Your Majesty." Zealous considered this. A single ship, facing over 300 warships and the most heavily defended planet in the Empire. Either the humans were foolish, or they were very confident. Looking at their vessel, the Emperor suspected it was not foolishness. "They said they come in peace," he said slowly. "What do you think they really want?" No one had an answer. On the Indomitable, Captain Park Yuna stood on her bridge and watched the chaos unfold on her sensors. She could see the alien ships moving into defensive positions. She could see weapons charging on distant platforms. She counted at least 50 targeting systems trying to lock onto her vessel. She smiled. "They are scared," she said to her crew. "Good. Scared people think before they shoot." Her first officer, Lieutenant Commander Kim Do-yoon, stood beside her. He was a tall man with steady hands and calm eyes. "They have a lot of guns pointed at us, Captain." "They do, but they have not fired. That means they want to talk." She turned to her communications officer. "Lee Suji, send our message again. Tell them we are willing to wait for their response. We have come a long way. We can be patient." Suji nodded and began transmitting. Yuna looked out at the alien world through the main view screen. It was beautiful, covered in purple oceans and silver clouds. Billions of beings lived down there, going about their daily lives. Most of them probably did not even know that everything was about to change. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within hours, every major power knew what had happened. A human ship had appeared at the heart of the Valorian Empire. The quarantine had failed. The primitives had escaped their cage. On 17 different worlds, emergency meetings began. Leaders shouted at each other through holographic screens. Scientists reviewed their old data and found it worthless. Military commanders studied the human vessel and felt fear growing in their stomachs. The Galactic Council was the oldest governing body in known space. 17 elder species sat on the council, each one ancient and powerful. They had guided galactic civilization for millions of years. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had survived wars, plagues, and cosmic disasters. They had never seen anything like this. "This is a disaster." Ambassador Vrex of the Cathani Collective shrieked through the communication screen. His species looked like large insects with too many legs. All of those legs were shaking with anger. The humans were supposed to stay contained. Who is responsible for this failure? "Blame will not help us now," replied Counselor Mira of the Lothonians. She was made of living crystal, and her voice sounded like stones grinding together. "The question is what we do next." "We destroy them," said another voice. This came from Admiral Gorath of the Valorian military. He was a large being with thick scales and a face made for war. "One ship cannot stand against the combined fleet. We wipe them out and send a message to their homeworld." "And if they have more ships?" Mira asked calmly. The room fell silent. This was the fear that nobody wanted to say out loud. If one human ship could appear without warning at the throne world, how many more might be hiding in the darkness? How many weapons were pointed at other worlds right now? On the throne world itself, Emperor Zealous III called his own meeting. His advisors gathered in the war room, a massive chamber filled with maps and screens showing every corner of the empire. The atmosphere was tense. Everyone was waiting for the Emperor to make a decision. "Tell me about the humans," Zealous commanded. "Everything we know." His intelligence chief, a thin Valorian named Counselor Vex, stepped forward. He looked tired and worried. The humans evolved on a small planet called Earth, third world from their sun. They are a young species by galactic standards. Their recorded history spans only about 10,000 years. "That is nothing," one of the generals muttered. "We have libraries older than their entire civilization." "Yes," Vex agreed. "But in that short time, they have developed remarkably fast. When we first observed them, they were using simple tools made of stone. Within a few thousand years, they had built cities. Within a few more, they had split the atom and walked on their moon. Their aggression is well documented," another advisor added. "They fight constantly. Wars between nations, wars between ideologies, wars over resources. They even fight over the color of their skin or the name of their gods. Primitives," the general said with disgust. "Perhaps," Vex said carefully. "But primitives who now have starships that can bypass our detection grid. Primitives who have weapons we cannot identify. Primitives who crossed the galaxy and knocked on our door while we were still arguing about whether to contact them." The Emperor raised one hand and the room fell silent. "What do we know about this specific ship?" A young intelligence officer stepped forward. Her name was Specialist Kira, and she had spent the last several hours studying every piece of data they could gather about the human vessel. "The ship is called Indomitable," she reported. "Based on the transmission we received, it is a military vessel commanded by someone named Captain Park Yuna. The crew appears to number approximately 3,000 individuals." 3,000? A general repeated. "That is a small crew for a ship of that size." "Yes, sir. We believe they use extensive automation." Kira paused, checking her notes. "The weapon systems I could identify include multiple high-energy beam arrays, missile launchers of unknown payload, and something we cannot recognize at all. It may be a new type of weapon, or it may be a defensive system. We simply do not know." "What about their faster-than-light drive?" the Emperor asked. "How did they arrive without detection?" "Unknown, Your Majesty. Our best scientists have reviewed all sensor data. There was no energy signature, no space-time distortion, nothing. The ship simply was not there, and then it was. Whatever technology they are using, we have never seen anything like it." The room absorbed this information in heavy silence. The Valorians had always believed their technology was the best in the galaxy. They had always believed they were safe behind their sensor grids and defensive fleets. Now a single human ship had proved them wrong. Emperor Zealous looked at the image of the Indomitable floating in space. It was still sitting quietly, waiting for a response. It had not moved or charged its weapons. It simply waited. "They say they want peace," the Emperor said thoughtfully. "They asked to speak with our leaders. They have not threatened us yet," Admiral Gorath growled. "They have not threatened us yet. Perhaps. But they also have not attacked us. With their apparent capabilities, they could have caused tremendous damage before we even knew they were here. Instead, they announced themselves and asked to talk." "A trick," the Admiral insisted. "They want to learn our weaknesses. Or perhaps they genuinely want peace." The Emperor turned to face his advisors. "We know what humans were 200 years ago. We do not know what they are now. People can change. Species can evolve. Perhaps they have grown beyond their violent past. Your Majesty, with respect, that is a dangerous assumption." "Yes, it is. But attacking them without cause is also dangerous. If they truly have developed beyond our understanding, war could cost us everything. Zelos made his decision. We will talk to them. Send a message to their captain. One representative may come to the palace, unarmed. We will hear what they have to say. The advisors exchanged worried looks, but none of them argued. The emperor had spoken. On the Indomitable, communications officer Lee Suji received the response and felt her heart race with excitement. Captain, they have agreed to meet. They want one representative to go to the palace. Captain Park Yuna nodded slowly. Then, that is what we will give them. She turned to her first officer. Kim Do-yeon, you have command while I am gone. Keep the ship ready, but do not provoke them. If anything happens to me, follow the protocol. Da-hyun's face was serious. Understood, Captain. Be careful down there. Yuna smiled. I always am. She walked off the bridge, her mind already preparing for the most important meeting in human history. Everything her species had worked for in the last 15 years came down to this moment. First contact with an alien civilization. A chance to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. She would not waste it. Captain Park Yuna stood in front of her mirror and adjusted her uniform. The fabric was dark blue with silver buttons, the formal dress uniform of the United Earth Systems Navy. She had worn it only twice before, both times for ceremonies back home. This would be its first real test. She looked at herself carefully. She was 34 years old, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her face showed the weariness of years in space, but also the determination that had carried her through every challenge. She was not tall or physically impressive. By human standards, she was ordinary. By Valorian standards, she was apparently some kind of monster. The thought made her smile. A knock came at her door. Enter. Lieutenant Commander Kim Do-yeon stepped inside. He was her oldest friend on the ship, a man she had served with for 10 years. They had survived the Belt Uprising together, watching friends die in the cold darkness between planets. They had fought pirates near Europa and faced down rebel ships in the outer system. He was the only person she trusted completely. The shuttle is ready, he said. Are you sure about this? Going alone, unarmed, into the heart of an alien empire? Someone has to? It does not have to be you. Send a diplomat. Send anyone else. Yuna shook her head. The captain goes. That is how we show respect. That is how we show we are serious. She picked up a small data device and slipped it into her pocket. Besides, I did not come all this way to hide on the ship. Do-hyun sighed. He knew better than to argue when she made up her mind. What are your orders if things go wrong? You know the orders. If I do not return within 12 hours, or if you receive a distress signal, you jump out immediately. Return to Earth and report everything. The fleet will take it from there. The fleet. Do-hyun's voice was bitter. 16 more ships against an entire empire. Those are not good numbers. They are the numbers we have. Yuna put her hand on his shoulder. We always knew first contact would be dangerous. We always knew we might not survive it. But someone had to try. Someone had to take the first step. It could have been someone else. No, it could not. She smiled at him, a real smile full of warmth and friendship. Take care of the ship, old friend. I will be back before you know it. She walked through the corridors of the Indomitable, passing crew members who stopped and saluted as she went by. 3,000 men and women served on this ship, drawn from every nation on Earth. They had trained for years, crossed impossible distances, and risked everything for this mission. She would not let them down. The shuttle bay was a large open space filled with smaller craft. Her shuttle was waiting, a sleek vehicle designed for both atmosphere and space. The pilot, Lieutenant Choi Min-ho, stood beside it with a nervous expression. Ready when you are, Captain. Then let us go. The shuttle lifted off and passed through the energy barrier that separated the bay from open space. Yuna watched through the window as her ship grew smaller behind them. Ahead, the alien space station waited, a massive structure of crystal and metal that glowed with soft light. "Beautiful," Minho said quietly. "Yes, and very, very well armed." They approached slowly, following the flight path the Valorians had provided. Weapons tracked their movement from a dozen directions, but nothing fired. The aliens were keeping their word. The station's docking bay opened to receive them. Minho brought the shuttle in smoothly and set it down on the landing pad. Outside, a group of Valorians waited in formal robes. "Here we go," Yuna said. She took a deep breath and opened the shuttle door. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. The gravity was slightly different, making her feel lighter than normal. She stepped out and faced the Valorians for the first time. They were tall, at least 2 meters, with 4 arms and 4 eyes. Their skin was pale purple, and their faces were difficult to read. They wore robes of silver and gold, decorated with symbols she did not understand. One of them stepped forward. "Captain Park Yuna?" "Yes, I am Counselor Vex, Chief of Imperial Intelligence. Please follow me. The Emperor is waiting." She followed him through corridors of crystal and light. Everything was beautiful and strange. The walls seemed to glow from within. The floor was smooth like glass but not slippery. Soft music played from somewhere, a melody that had no obvious source. Other Valorians stopped and stared as she passed. She saw fear in their 4 eyes, and curiosity, and sometimes anger. She was an alien here, a creature from a quarantined world. They had been told her species was dangerous, and now she was walking through their most sacred halls. "Good," she thought. "Let them look. Let them see that we are not monsters." The throne room was enormous. The ceiling rose so high she could barely see it. Crystal pillars lined the walls, each one carved with images she did not recognize. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat Emperor Zelos III. He was old, she could tell that much. His scales were darker than the others, and his movements were slow and careful. But his eyes were sharp and intelligent, studying her the way she studied him. Hundreds of Valorians filled the room, watching from elevated galleries. Nobles, military officers, diplomats from across the empire. They had all come to see the human, to witness this moment of history. Yuna walked forward until she stood before the throne. She bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect but not submission. "Your Majesty," she said clearly, "thank you for receiving me." "I am honored." The Emperor leaned forward. "You speak our language well. We have been listening to your transmissions for many years. Learning seemed wise. You have been spying on us. We have been watching. As you watched us." She met his eyes directly. "We know about the observation posts in our system. We know about the probes you sent to study our world. We decided long ago that if we wanted to survive, we needed to understand our neighbors." A murmur ran through the crowd. They had not expected her to know so much. "The Galactic Council declared your species too dangerous to contact," Zila said carefully. "They placed your entire sector under quarantine. You were not supposed to develop star travel for centuries." Yuna nodded. "Your scientists made predictions based on the data they had. The data was incomplete. Humanity has a talent for surprising people, so it seems." The Emperor was quiet for a moment. "Why are you here, Captain? What does your species want?" This was the question she had traveled across the galaxy to answer. She had practiced her response 1,000 times. Now, standing in front of an alien emperor with the fate of her entire species hanging in the balance, she spoke from the heart. "We want what every species wants," she said. "A place among the stars. A chance to grow, to learn, to become something better than we were. We know our history. We know the violence, the wars, the terrible things we did to each other. But we also know that we can change. We have changed." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "We are not asking to join your empire or your council. We are asking for recognition. We are asking to be treated as equals. Trade, diplomacy, cultural exchange. We have knowledge and technology that could benefit everyone. And we believe you have things to teach us as well. And if we refuse?" Yuna's expression did not change, but something in her eyes grew harder. "Then we will leave. And we will remember. And we will continue to grow, alone if we must." The threat was subtle but clear. Humanity was coming, whether the galaxy wanted them or not. The only question was whether they would come as friends or as something else entirely. Emperor Zelos studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. "We will talk more, Captain Park Yuna. Much more. But for now, welcome to our world." The negotiations lasted for 3 weeks. Every day, Captain Park Yuna traveled from the Indomitable to the Imperial Palace. Every day, she sat in meeting rooms and answered questions. Every day, she faced suspicion, fear, and occasional hostility from the Valorian leadership. She did not give up. Humanity had not crossed the galaxy to fail at the last step. The meetings often included representatives from the Galactic Council, transmitted through holographic screens from their distant worlds. They watched the human with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Some species wanted to learn more about these strange new beings. Others wanted them destroyed before they could become a threat. Ambassador Vrex of the Kethany Collective was the most hostile. His insect-like body trembled with rage every time Yuna spoke. "You cannot trust them," he shouted during one session. "They are killers. Their history is written in blood." Yuna remained calm. She had expected this. "Ambassador, your species fought a civil war that lasted 800 years. The Lithonians wiped out 3 intelligent species during their expansion period. The Valorians conquered dozens of worlds by force." She looked around the room. "We are all killers. The difference is that we are honest about our past. You dare compare us to... I am not comparing anyone to anyone. I am simply stating facts. Every species in this room has made terrible mistakes. Every species has caused suffering. What matters is what we do now. What matters is whether we can learn from the past and build something better." The room fell silent. Even Vrex had no response. Emperor Zelos watched these exchanges with careful attention. He was beginning to understand something about humans that the old reports had missed. They were not simply violent or aggressive. They were survivors. They carried the weight of their history openly, without shame or denial. And they channeled that weight into an unstoppable drive to improve. On the 15th day of negotiations, the Emperor asked to speak with Yuna privately. They met in his personal garden, a beautiful space filled with alien plants and singing water. Guards watched from a distance, but could not hear their conversation. "Tell me something, Captain," Zela said, as they walked along a crystal path. "Your species has only had space travel for a short time. Your history before that was filled with war and suffering. How did you change so quickly?" Yuna thought about the question carefully. "We did not change overnight. The transformation took generations. After our last great war, the one we call World War III, we nearly destroyed ourselves. Billions died. Our planet was poisoned. We stood at the edge of extinction, but you survived. We survived. And in the ruins of our old world, we made a choice. We decided that we could not continue as we had been. We could not keep fighting each other while the universe was waiting to be explored. So we built something new, your United Earth Systems. Yes, it was not easy. Old hatreds did not disappear overnight. Old borders and old grudges remained. But we found a common goal, something bigger than any nation or ideology. We looked up at the stars and said, "That is where we belong." And slowly, one step at a time, we started walking toward them. Zealous nodded slowly. "And the aggression? The violence that defines your species according to our reports?" "Still there." Una smiled slightly. "We did not become peaceful, Your Majesty. We became focused. We directed our energy outward instead of against each other. We built ships instead of weapons. We conquered the void instead of our neighbors. The same drive that made us fight also made us reach for impossible things. A dangerous combination. Very dangerous, but also very powerful." She stopped walking and faced the Emperor directly. "Your Majesty, I will not pretend that humanity is perfect. We are not. We still argue. We still make mistakes. We still have the capacity for terrible violence. But we have also learned to control it, to channel it, to use it as fuel for growth instead of destruction. And if you slip, if the old patterns return, then we will face that challenge when it comes. We do not fear our own nature, Your Majesty. We understand it. That understanding is what allows us to master it." They continued walking in silence for a while. The garden was peaceful, filled with the sound of water and wind. For a moment, they were not an alien emperor and a human captain. They were just two beings trying to understand each other. "Your ship has not moved in 3 weeks," Zealous said eventually. "My admirals tell me this is a sign of patience. My generals tell me it is a sign of arrogance. My scientists tell me they cannot figure out how it arrived in the first place." Una laughed quietly. "It is patience, Your Majesty. And perhaps a little confidence. Confidence in what? In you, in your wisdom. In your ability to see past fear and recognize an opportunity." She met his eyes. "We could have come here with weapons ready and demands on our lips. We chose not to. We came with one ship and one voice, asking only to be heard. That should tell you something about what we really want." Zealous studied her for a long moment. "You know, Captain, I have ruled this empire for over a century. I have met thousands of diplomats and leaders from across the galaxy. Most of them speak with careful words designed to hide their true intentions. You speak differently. How so?" "You speak like someone who has nothing to hide." "It is refreshing and slightly terrifying." Una smiled. "We learned a long time ago that honesty is more effective than deception. When everyone expects you to lie, the truth becomes your greatest weapon." The Emperor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You humans are strange creatures. We prefer to call ourselves interesting." That evening, Zelos called a special session of his council. He had made his decision. "We will sign a treaty with the humans," he announced. "Limited contact at first. Trade of non-military goods. Cultural exchange programs. A human embassy on our station. In return, they will share some of their technology and open their borders to Valorian visitors." The room erupted in protest. Admiral Gareth stood up, his scales darkening with anger. "Your Majesty, this is madness. We know nothing about their true capabilities. They could be setting a trap." "Perhaps," Zealous agreed calmly. "But consider the alternative. We refuse their offer. We send them away in anger. They disappear back into their sector, and we never see them again." He paused. "Until they return with 100 ships instead of 1. Until they have learned everything we know while we have learned nothing about them." The room fell silent. "I do not fully trust the humans," the Emperor continued. "But I trust what I have seen. They had every opportunity to threaten us, to demonstrate their power, to make demands. Instead, their captain walked into our palace alone and asked for peace. Either this is the most elaborate trick in galactic history, or they genuinely want cooperation." He stood up from his throne. We will take the risk. We will open our doors. And we will see what kind of neighbors humanity truly is. On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Commander Kim Do-hyun received the news and felt relief wash through him. He had spent 3 weeks preparing for disaster, running scenarios in his head, wondering if he would have to order the ship to flee while his captain died on an alien world. Now it was over. They had won. He opened a channel to the palace. "Captain, we received word of the Emperor's decision. Congratulations." Yuna's voice came back tired but happy. "Thank you, old friend. Prepare the ship for a celebration. We have made history today." And across the galaxy, in every corner of human space, people celebrated as well. The news spread at the speed of light. First contact had succeeded. Humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage. The hard part was just beginning. 3 months passed after the signing of the treaty. The galaxy slowly adjusted to the new reality. Humanity was no longer a quarantined species, hidden in a distant corner of space. They were neighbors, trading partners, and potential allies. Or potential enemies. May still worried about that. The Indomitable remained stationed near the Valorian throne world as a symbol of the new relationship. Captain Park Yuna had become something of a celebrity, her face appearing on news broadcasts across hundreds of systems. She hated the attention but understood its importance. Every time an alien saw a human acting with dignity and reason, it helped break down the old fears. On this particular morning, Yuna stood in her observation lounge, watching the stars through the wide window. The purple and silver world of the Valorians hung below, beautiful and strange. She had grown almost fond of it during her time here. The door opened behind her. She turned to see a familiar figure enter. Specialist Kira, the young Valorian intelligence officer who had first analyzed the Indomitable, had been assigned as the official liaison between the two species. Over the past weeks, she and Yuna had developed something approaching friendship. "Captain," Kira said, "may I join you?" "Of course." They stood together in silence for a moment, looking out at the stars. It was a comfortable silence, the kind that develops between people who have come to understand each other. "I have been studying your history," Kira said eventually. "The full records, not just the summary our council provided." "And what did you learn?" "That your species should not exist." The Valorian's 4 eyes turned to look at Yuna. "By all logic, by every pattern we have observed in other developing civilizations, humanity should have destroyed itself long ago. You had nuclear weapons before you had meaningful space travel. You had the power to end your world before you had colonies to escape to. Yet here you are." Yuna nodded slowly. "There were times when we came close. Very close. I have seen the records from those days. The fear, the hatred, the fingers hovering over buttons that could have ended everything. What stopped you? Different things at different times. Sometimes it was wisdom. Sometimes it was luck. Sometimes it was just one person making the right choice at the right moment." She paused. "We are not special, Kira. We are not blessed or protected by any higher power. We simply refuse to give up. That refusal is what frightens the galaxy about you. I know. But it is also what makes us who we are." Yuna turned to face the Valorian fully. "Your species has existed for 12,000 years. You have stability, tradition, certainty. You know what tomorrow will look like because it will be much like today. We have none of that. Every day for us is a fight against extinction, against entropy, against our own worst impulses. It makes us desperate. It makes us dangerous. But it also makes us creative in ways your species cannot imagine." Kira was quiet for a long moment. "The Galactic Council is still debating what to do about you. Some want to accept you. Others want to contain you again, by force if necessary. We know. We have been listening. Yuna smiled slightly. Your encryption is very good, by the way. It took us almost a week to break it. The Valorian made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are not supposed to tell me that. We're supposed to be allies. Allies share information. The smile faded from Yuna's face. What do you think will happen, Kira? Honestly? I do not know. The old powers are afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of losing control, afraid of a species that rose from nothing in a cosmic heartbeat and now stands, equal to empires millions of years old. She paused. But fear fades with time. If you can show them that you are not a threat, the cooperation benefits everyone. Perhaps they will come around. And if they do not? If they decide to attack us? Kira was silent for a moment. Then I hope I am far away when it happens. Because I have seen your ship, Captain. I have studied your weapons and your tactics and your history. If the galaxy goes to war with humanity, I do not think the outcome will be what many expect. Yuna nodded grimly. We do not want war. We truly do not. But we have been preparing for it since we first learned we were not alone. 15 years of quiet development, hidden colonies, secret shipyards. The Indomitable is not our most powerful vessel, Kira. Not even close. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked for honesty. Because I want you to understand something important. Yuna stepped closer, her voice dropping low. We did not come to the stars looking for enemies. We came looking for friends. We came hoping to find that the universe was full of wonder and possibility, not danger and fear. So far, you have been the closest thing to a friend we have found out here. Me? You. You looked at us and saw something other than monsters. You asked questions instead of making assumptions. You treated us like people, not threats. Yuna's expression softened. That matters more than you know. Kira did not know how to respond. She had been raised on stories of human violence, human aggression, human danger. And yet here was a human captain, standing in front of her, speaking of friendship and hope. Perhaps the old stories had been wrong. Perhaps humanity was something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Perhaps that was exactly what the galaxy needed. A chime sounded from Yuna's communicator. She checked it and smiled. The supply ship from Earth has arrived. They brought some goods for trade, and some other things as well. Other things? Chocolate, coffee, music, art. All the little things that make life worth living. She moved toward the door. Would you like to see? I think you would enjoy our music. Kira hesitated for only a moment before following. I would like that very much. They walked together through the corridors of the Indomitable, past crew members who smiled and nodded. Some of them were already learning Valorian customs. Others were teaching humans phrases to their new allies. The air felt different than it had 3 months ago. Less tense. More hopeful. In the cargo bay, crates were being unloaded from a smaller vessel. Lieutenant Commander Kim Do-hyun supervised the process, checking items off a list. He looked up as the captain approached. Everything arrived safely, he reported, including the special package for Lieutenant Choi Min-ho. His mother's cooking? 3 containers of it. He has been waiting for months. Yuna laughed. Make sure he gets it first. That man has earned some home comfort. She led Kira to a small crate marked with symbols the Valorian did not recognize. Inside were dozens of small devices, each one capable of playing music. Choose one, Yuna said. A gift from Earth. It contains thousands of songs from our history, from our first simple melodies to the symphonies of our greatest composers. When you listen, you will hear who we really are. The joy and the sorrow, the triumph and the tragedy, all of it. Kira picked up one of the devices carefully. It felt light in her hands, insignificant. But she understood that it contained something precious, something that could not be measured in weight or size. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you for giving us a chance." Yuna looked out the cargo bay window at the stars beyond. "We have a long way to go, Kira, both our species. There will be misunderstandings and conflicts and moments when everything seems ready to fall apart. But I believe we can make it work. I believe we can build something amazing together." "Why do you believe that?" Yuna smiled. "Because that is what humans do. We believe in impossible things. We reach for stars we cannot touch. We dream of futures we may never see. And then, step by step, we make those dreams come true." The stars shone beyond the window, ancient and endless. Somewhere out there, other species watched and wondered what would happen next. Would humanity prove to be the threat they feared? Or would they become something unexpected, something wonderful? Only time would tell. But for now, in this moment, standing together in a human ship above an alien world, two species took their first steps toward understanding. And that was enough. That was a beginning. The rest of the story was still being written.